Welcome back to Gemstone Podcast. My name is Lance Parker. I go by LP. I have Shy and Zach with me today. We're excited about today's episode. Please go follow our Spotify Anchor account and click follow. All you have to do is go click follow. And you can keep up to date with any upload and any updates surrounding our platform, concerning our podcast. Please go follow our Instagram account as well, which is at Gemstones Podcast. Now, Zach, I'm going to go ahead and let you start things off so we can get into some things.
What up? What up? What up? What up? What up, y'all? Hope y'all having a great day and enjoying y'all's day today. We're gonna get into some serious and deep conversation right now. We want to see how y'all in the Gemstone family is good with communication. More importantly, effective communication in relationships. We all know effective communication in relationships can be one of the hardest skills to master, especially when emotions are high and disagreements arise. How do we navigate open and respectful communication with our partner? How do we decide which issues is worth addressing and which issues is worth letting go for a healthy relationship? Are there specific techniques and mindset that you can use to help with these decisions and keeping communication strong? Now, in my opinion, I'm gonna go last, and I'm gonna let you go ahead and go, Shy, like you was, and give us some information what you feel like could be good communication skills that you like to use.
Okay, so for me, first of all, communication skills, know your trigger points, right? Know your trigger point. Knowing your trigger points also means don't take everything personal. Regardless if you're talking to your partner, your parent, your boss, your colleague, or somebody in the checkout line. Don't take anything personal, for one. Listen to understand, not listen to respond. A lot of times, even what I've experienced in past relationships where I'm expressing myself and telling that person, hey, I don't appreciate this, I don't appreciate that. And they, what, you know what, you, well, you did this or you did that. But you're negating the fact that I'm sitting here expressing how I feel about about something that I'm concerned with. You're the whole time I'm discussing this with you, you're in your head coming up with a response instead of understanding, listening to me and saying, okay, I understand you. I get what you're saying. I'm going to work on that. Instead, you're like, well, I remember when you ate all of the cookies. It could be simple things like that. But people that are like that, they tend to look for something to alternate, right? Instead of taking accountability. So that's how I work on my communication skills. Also give people the floor, right? Whether it's like I said, whether it's in a relationship or you're at work, give people the floor. Let them talk. If you're on a Zoom call with your coworkers, mute yourself. Let your coworker get it off their chest. Let them cook. And once they finish, if you have something to add to it, yes. Now, a lot of times I've been in meetings where I've had a coworker say, well, we are experiencing some people in this room that are taking longer than needed breaks and they're doing things that are unethical or they're doing things that we're not supposed to do. So a person with poor communication skills, they would immediately get offended by that, especially if you're guilty of that. Instead of being cool, being chill, and letting the person get it off. You don't know who they're talking about. You don't know, and if you do know who they're talking about, it's another way to approach the situation instead of making yourself look guilty, making yourself look defensive. So I would say, effectively listen, listen to understand, not respond. That's a big thing. Like I said, too many people are looking to respond. They're looking to this is another thing I always tell people. Too many people got their armor on. Everybody got their fist up. I remember the actress Jennifer Lewis did an interview. Now Jennifer Lewis is diagnosed with bipolar disorder. So all of her life she's been see me, right? She got her fist ball up, When I mean see me, she's been in defensive mode. She's had her armor on. A lot of people walk around in full armor, ready for battle. You don't have to put this full armor on, ready to go in attack mode every situation. There's people walking out there though in the morning going to work. And the first thing that upsets them, they ready to get out their car and they ready to box and they ready to shoot somebody or they got road rage. Take the armor off and take the armor off and calm down and listen to understand, not to respond. Take your fist down. Put your fist down. Put your hands in your pocket if that helps. Put your fist down and just listen. Everything is not you don't have to walk around defending yourself. Everything is not a dig. Everything is not a shot at you. Some things are a generic opinion. So that's how I effectively communicate. Just listen to understand, not to respond.
Well, I think one thing that you had a good question about communication when it comes to relationships. I think the biggest thing is vulnerability. I think a lot of times people understand in order to have effective communication, you have to have a level of vulnerability with the partner you're with. You can't have effective communication. I'm going to keep using the word effective without vulnerability. And vulnerability actually is a plateau to grow. That's a seed to plant to have growth within your relationship. Because if I'm being vulnerable with you, therefore I'm having open, transparent conversation with you. I didn't say honesty, I said transparency. And to double side that, practice active listening. Active listening is important because if you're actively listening, I can actually regurgitate everything you said to me just in my own way of understanding. And if there's anything I don't understand, then therefore you can correct me. See, that's vulnerability because I really want to understand how I can best support you, and vice versa. You should be wanting to know how you can best support me. I think in our generation, when it comes to relationships, especially with communication, we have we were the first generation kind of introduced to social media, cell phones. You could text, you could have text message conversation, FaceTime calls, MySpace video calls, Zoom, Skype, all these different platforms that we were introduced to that kind of, I think it hindered our effective communication skills because having a face-to-face conversation when someone is upset, angry, mad is somewhat difficult for our generation because we don't know how to, like, kind of like Shy said, take the armor off, but really be vulnerable too. Because if I hurt you, of course you're gonna be mad. Of course you're gonna be cussing at me. Of course you're gonna call me out my name. Of course, because you having an emotional response right now, and you're being vulnerable in that moment because you're in your emotions, you're in your feelings, and so I can't match your energy and communicate with you that same way. Because then what we gonna have? We have no growth in communication. Uh, and I think that's one of our biggest issues with our generation. We depend on text. We depend on these other avenues of conversation than in person. I've met a lot of individuals who have great text message communications with somebody, but in person, it's trash. That's big. I've met people who have great in-person conversations, but have poor text message conversations. I've met people who have said that the person they talked to it was boring. They weren't intellectual. Something like it, the communication is such a multifaceted mechanism when it comes to relationships because it can go in so many different ways. It can go into the bedroom. It can go into intimacy. It can go to building a bond. It can go to building support. It can go to de-escalation. It can go to escalation. It can go to so many different ways. Uh, and I just think we struggle with all those facets and having those effective skills with communication. But I would love to hear what you got to say, Zach. I mean, because I think when you say what you have to say, I think it's going to open the conversation a little bit more.
I've been learning myself on how to be effective communication, be better at communication, and be better with my partners when I'm having them. Something that I try to work on and do is, like Shy said, learning how to tell your partner. I mean, to understand your partner and not and how to tell your partner you understand them in a non-consenting way. Because sometimes when you say things like, "Oh yeah, I understand you," or "I hear what you're saying," they can take it in the wrong way sometimes. And now that's sometimes on them knowing how to take your criticism or take your what's the word I'm looking for there? Take your understanding what they're trying to say and
Feedback.
take your feedback. That's a lot to learn, they need to learn how to take your feedback. You need to learn how to give the feedback to them so they can be understand, so they can have a understanding that you really understand what they're saying, that you genuinely cared what they had to say and you understood what they said and you respect what they said. You have to learn how to do that, and you have to learn how to do it in a non-consenting way. Another thing that I think you need to do for the betterment relationship is learn how to walk away. Sometimes you're in a situation where argument is high and stressful. You need to know how to just walk away and y'all decompress and then come back later and have a conversation where y'all can have it in a calm manner where y'all are more respectful to each other. Because you know when it's heated and it's very stressful, words get to slipping. And one of my biggest things I always tell LP is you can't be talking to your woman like she's some regular person on the street, because that's your woman, dog. That's supposed to be your rib and your person you're supposed to be the rest of your life. You can't be calling her no, you can't be calling her no, or no chicken leg, and no other type of word that's derogatory, because you wouldn't want nobody to call you something derogatory. So you got to respect her like you respect yourself, and you got to respect him like you respect yourself. You can't be out here disrespecting your partners like that. Because once you start disrespecting your partner, you let that seep into your relationship. You don't need that seeping into your relationship. And another thing I always try to do is know how to take constructive criticism and know how to give constructive criticism. It's not a one-way street of you just always taking the criticism of what's going on, what you're not doing right. They're not always the partner that's giving all that criticism. They ain't perfect either. You got to be able willing to say what they're doing sometimes, but in a respectful manner.
You know, Zach, you said something that's very, very real. Having that respect factor. And I would say this. That's something that I am learning, that when you're in an emotional when you're in your feelings or you're in an emotional state, it's best to just have no communication till you have regulated those emotions. Because when you don't regulate those emotions, you don't operate in effective communication. You operate in a form of disruption. Um, and you can say some things that you really don't mean, but you're just emotional and your feelings are hurt. Transparent, being transparent, your feelings are hurt. Something's been done to you that you don't like, and you don't want that person to do that to you. And also you view, when you view someone a type of way. Say you're with a woman, you have a lot of strong emotions for that woman. You love her, you want to be with her, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then you guys get into a big fight about something, and she may say something that may trigger you, you know, and then you get into an emotional state. It's best to take that time just to dismiss yourself from the conversation and regulate your emotions. I think a lot of us struggle with that because we want to be validated in our opinions so bad that even in an emotional state, we want to be heard. But it's best just to take a break, like you just said. Like learning yourself and learning your partner is so key. But most of all, learning yourself. Because when you know you can kind of mitigate a lot of issues when it comes to a breakdown in communication. If you know the conversation is going south and something's gonna get said, it's gonna set you smooth the hell off. Go ahead and dismiss yourself and say, okay, let me take 20 minutes, 15 minutes, maybe an hour, just a break from this. And then I'm gonna come back and have a more formidable conversation. Because 9 times out of 10, once cooler heads have happened, a more progressive conversation then takes place, where understanding and misconceptions are now resolved. Now we getting somewhere. That's effective communication. But when you operate in your emotions, because emotions do control our moods and some kind of control our language, and we don't operate in that form of safety. You always want to be in a level of safety for each other. Like I feel safe with you. I feel safe communicating with you. I feel safe telling you this. I feel safe telling you that. And one thing I'm gonna say about women, when men tell you something that's vulnerable, that has happened to them, that has hurt them in the past, do not throw it back in their face. That's gonna do something to that man, and he's gonna view you differently the entire relationship. I'm speaking from experience. If that man tells you like, hey, this took place, blah 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 blah, man, that really hurt me back in the day, blah 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 blah. You don't have to be hurt. But if she come back and saying that's why so did you like that, because if that man is never gonna see you the same again, because you took a very sacred moment that he told you and you threw it back in his face in a form of communication. So it's best that when you have these emotional outbursts, just take a break. I'm learning that. I would say that that is something I am learning actively and trying to do better at every day.
And that goes both ways. Like because that was one of the topics I was gonna get into too. Is when because you and Shy both hit it on the head about being vulnerable in your relationship, and you're gonna say things that are so vulnerable to you that your partner knows the buttons to push to really push you over the edge. When you don't need to be pushing those buttons, man. Like you know what's gonna make this man or this woman go off because she done told you something that was so vulnerable to her. And when you say it jokingly, trying to be funny and petty with her or him, it's gonna take them to that situation. And they're not gonna view you in the same way. And they're not gonna want to tell you important things to them because they feel like you're going to throw it back in their face. And you don't want that because once that happens, the relationship's already dead. They're just there. They're not there for the same goals they was before. They don't have the same trust in you as before. And once you lose trust, what do you have in a relationship now? You don't really have much in a relationship at that point.
I agree 100%, Zach. That's real. That goes that goes deep. When you what you just said, the relationship is therefore like it's in shambles after that. From a man's standpoint, probably from a woman too. I think women are more forgiving than men. I think women bounce back for hurt much faster than men bounce back from hurt.
Hell no.
Now,
What's
I'm just gonna
what's
say
that
this.
shot? Ain't no free like a woman scoring or whatever.
I disagree though. I think that's just a saying. This is my opinion though, see. Like I said, I disagree. I think that when it comes to instances such as that, I think men have a harder time bouncing back from heartbreak than women when they truly do love and care about a woman. Because you gotta think about it. When a man loves a woman, he's willing to sacrifice anything. When he truly found somebody that he loved or really rock with for real, he gonna sacrifice so much to make sure that this woman he's with is happy. And then when something is done, like you just said, that's gonna break his heart in some type of facet. It's gonna break his heart in some type of manner. He's gonna be broken. It's gonna be hard for him to bounce back from that. And that's when the stepping out of the relationships takes place because another woman may say something to him that doesn't trigger that emotion, and he may feel seen by her. Now you saw me, but you brought my deepest, darkest moment to me in such a negative way that I don't feel like I'm seen by you anymore. But this woman over here sees me, but she don't really see you. That woman just want something that another woman has. But men don't get that because we're so narrow minded at times when we're in our feelings and when we're hurt. So I disagree. I think men bounce back from heartbreak at a much harder rate. We can be going around sleeping with this one, that one, this one, that one, that one, this one, that one, this one, that one, and still be thinking about the one that broke our heart the whole time.
Okay, now, Sha, I want you to chime in on this, please, for me, real quick. When
Hmm.
Let me get a question for you, because I want you to answer this question for sure for me. Men do harder from heartbreak because when we have heartbreak or when a relationship ends, we're always blind to it. We feel like everything's going good, but women get over their heartbreak faster than men because they've already went through the situation in the relationship. So when they leave, they already exited the relationship mentally, physically, and emotionally, while we're still stuck in the relationship. That's why sometimes the heartbreak for men is a lot longer because the women have already went through that heartbreak and already passed that stuff. That's why they're already ready to move on. Because when a woman is through being through, that's at the it. She's already done went through every phase of what the man done went through after the relationship.
Correct. You're right. Most women check out the relationship before the relationship is already over.
Right. Well, I'm gonna add to that. For one key way, like typically typically men don't have any kind of break periods. Like some guys will stay single for a long time, but single as in they just don't have a title. But there's always a woman lingering somewhere. So it's different for women. Typically women will stay single a lot longer than men because women we got healing journeys. Men don't do that. Men go get another skirt. That's how they heal. And but that's where the saying goes in: women hurt first, men hurt later. So these men will go get a whole nother woman, and months later they get to comparing. Oh well, Patricia made pot roast good. Your pot roast not that good. It's simple things like that. Months, maybe years later, Hence the why men tend to spin the block. Women
I
typically
hate it.
don't do that. Huh?
I said, stop it. Don't be talking like that. You hitting us too hard, Shock.
Right. It's typically men will. So what? So let me answer the question first before I get into what I gotta say. Now, Zack, you said. Can you say the question one more time?
Yes. Effective communication. Like, what are some specific techniques and mindsets do you use to
No,
help?
no, no, not that question. We answered that. I'm talking about the question about the women and the men.
Oh, the
The
one I was
last.
about what I say about how women are usually the reason why men hurt so much longer is because the men are always blind to it. I feel like they always act like they're blind, like they can't see the woman's not happy or something like that. So when the relationship's over, they're always sitting there with their hands stuck out, trying to figure out like what happened, while the woman has already went through that series of the grief, the sadness, and all that stuff already. Because when she checked out the relationship, she really was already doing it while the relationship was going.
Right, right. So typically, okay, let's just give or take. Now, this is not saying one person is the bad or not. I'm not saying that. But let's just say, hypothetically speaking, if the man was the issue in the relationship, right? Oh, well, you know what? I'm gonna say the woman. How about that? Let's say the woman was issue in the relationship, right? Well, you know what? I'm gonna say the men because I'm a woman. So let's say the man was an issue in the relationship, right? She went through a lot of things with him with the woo, right? And then she got to her breaking point where let's say April that year, she decided she ain't want him no more. But it's like women, like you said, women had already checked out. Typically, that's why when a man, oh, wait. Typically, women check out a long time before. Hence the why women forgive you, take you back. And then eventually, but each time a woman takes you back, there's less and less that she cares about you. In my opinion, that's less and less. Yes, a woman may forever love you, but the respect is dwindling. The care is dwindling. The companionship is dwindling. I know for me, companionship is the biggest thing for me. So once I'm no longer your friend, I'm not gonna be your partner. So things, happen like that, and the man, he's just going on doing what he want to do, yeah. And then eventually, the woman had already checked out months ago, and it's like now she done went through all the heartbreak part, and he's still doing his thing, he doing whatever. And then she ends up breaking up with him, or he ends up finding out that she's dating somebody else, but you had already put her through 100 things. So why are you so surprised that this thing happened? Like, no, you're not exclusive to this happening to you. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's very true. Like the woman might is gonna be hurting at first, she'll be hurting, but the man gonna always cry later. And that's the power of a woman. A man is always gonna cry later. He might not cry now, but in a couple yeah, he gonna always cry later. Especially if even if it wasn't even a real relationship. Men cry over their side chicks and they roster chicks all the time. Men be men be sad about losing a chick that they ain't wasn't even with.
You right?
I had a
I miss my
I
ear.
had a I had a man block me on everything because I was with another man. He wasn't even my man, and he wasn't my man. I hadn't talked to him in a few days, and he didn't respond to my message. So you ignoring me, but you mad because I was somebody else. Like make it make sense, homeboy. That man had to be blocked after that. So it's like, yes, you will hurt. And guess what? Again, they always come back typically, or they always try to leave some kind of like that's another reason why men don't close the door. This is one thing I learned about men a long time ago. A lot of times men don't close the door. It's some men will straight up tell you, hey, I can't talk to you, I'm not feeling you. But most men don't do that. Most men will be just go, or they'll just not be as communicative no more, or things like that. They leave a door open just in case because men are so afraid to be alone. Women are not like that. We will shut the door closed or tell you I got a new man. Or women, we take pride in hello. I'm with James now, and it's over. Women like doing that stuff. Men don't do that. Because men are too scared that if him and Kiki don't work out, I can always go back to Juanita because Juanita gonna be single. Men don't do that. But if men understood that regardless of the fact, if you did that, typically she's still gonna be there. Sometimes, just depending. But men are too scared to do that. They too scared that if this don't work, you can't be scared though. That's the game. That's the game you juggle. You can't be scared that the woman not gonna be there no more. And if she not there, it's already 5 women to 1 man, the ratio. So it'll be somebody else. But that's how men are. They rather, this is my new thing. If me and you talking or getting to know each other, you got one time to become distant. You got one time any of that. I'm not fucking with you. Plain and simple. Because at this, if you don't know how to communicate, you don't know how to. Even if a man is going through something, it takes 2 minutes to say, "Hey, I'm having a rough day at work." Yeah. Depending on your relationship, if you cannot effectively communicate that, I'm not no save me for later type of girl. You're not gonna. I'm not no what somebody said. I ain't no side dish. I ain't the potatoes and the spinach, bitch. I'm the entree. I'm the whole goddamn meal. So without me, you can't eat. So therefore, you're not gonna sit me in the cabinet with the potatoes and cook me tomorrow. No. He's not doing it. So yes, men definitely hurt longer and they hurt later and it hits them. Typically, even from our experience, going personal, the man went out and found a carbon copy of me. She light skinned, she fat with a P. I'm gonna say fat with a P. P8 pretty hot and thick. She's light skinned. She's fat. She kind of she look a little racially ambiguous. What else? She's short. It's so many similarities. Our birthdays is almost the same damn day as well. This man went out and found not the exact replica. He went out and found a Goodwill version of Shot Marie. I ain't gonna call it Goodwill, but I'm gonna be a little nicer. He went and found the clearance rack. The clearance rack in the store. He went and found the clearance rack version of me, because guess what? Men hurt later. Men will literally, wake up one day, and immature men, especially immature men, will wake up one day and they're not mature enough to say they wrong. Instead, they'll go out and do little stuff like that to kind of get your attention, or they'll go out and try to find somebody that looks similar to you. Now, people out there might say, maybe he got a type. That is true. A man could have a type.
Women do the same thing sometimes, yeah.
But it's eerily similar. That's the point. And yeah, women do that too, but men typically hurt longer than women. And they typically hit them later on. Like, guarantee you, every man has a one that got away. Just about. If you're a man that had lived life experiences, maybe not if you're young, 21 or whatever, but if you're a man that's been lived his life and had experiences, you got one that got away. Women don't have that. Women don't have a man that got away. Oh, I wish I was a good woman to him. I wish no. We don't have that. We don't have that. Typically, if they gone, it's good riddance. Men are not like that. But that's what I gotta say.
I think women do the same thing sometimes too. But go back to what we were talking about, communication. I just think when women are checking out of the relationship, they should communicate that. Like, hey, I'm starting not to feel the same. Such as has taken place. That's where that vulnerability comes into play. That's why I kind of brought up the whole men hurting, being more hurt after relationships than women are, because women are kind of calculated. All right. So Zach. You have anything you got to say about this topic before we move to the next one?
No, I think we got a lot of stuff going on with that, man. We can go ahead and move on to the next one.
All right, y'all. I had to take me a sip of drink because I've been talking a lot tonight. Anyway, so my topic is Nick Cannon. Now, before I get into this topic, ladies, now we know Nick Cannon is a good-looking brother. He's successful. He's been doing his thing since I remember watching Nick Cannon when I was 7 years old. Like, Nick Cannon has been doing his thing for many, many years. And we're not going to discredit him for that, And he's a good-looking man. He dressed nice, all the good, very good-looking, very good. But anyway, so Nick Cannon admits to having narcissistic personality disorder, right? In which, for me, I didn't know the exact term for it, but I always felt like he was like that anyways, because stereotypically men that are like him, i.e., we're gonna go with celebrities, i.e. Nick Cannon, i.e. Cam Newton, i.e. Future, i.e. Who else can we name? Typically, i.e. Flavor Flav, i.e. Lil Boosie. Typically, men like them are narcissistic. So let's get into the definition. So a narcissistic personality disorder is a mental health condition that involves a long-term pattern of exaggerated sense of self-importance, a need for admiration, and a lack of empathy towards others. That's a definition of narcissism. So NPD is also, so this is my opinion on NPD. NPD is also a cover up for the lack of self love one has for themselves, the need for validation, and having and the need for validation, having a lot of material things to cover up what's inside, right? Words to TLC. A lot of and a lot of women as well. And stereotypically, men with this trait tend to be more. Let me back it up. Typically, now this is a stereotype, but stereotypically, men that have these characteristics, i.e., narcissism, abusive, emotionally unbalanced, response with anger, what else? 12, 13 kids, typically these men are DL as well. Now, let that sit for me. If you know anybody out there that's in the closet, is a closet gay, DL man, whatever, typically those characteristics are typically them as well. Just think about it for a second. If you know any men, typically they have those same narcissistic characteristics, right? So anyway, so Cam Newton went on Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, Dr. Bryant, OG in the game, OG in the health game. Shout out to Dr. Bryant. Well, she actually went on his show. Oh, was it her show? I think it might have been her show. So he went on there, so Nick Cannon basically has been going to therapy and everything, over the last, let's say, year or whatever, because, Nick Cannon has had about 8 children in the last 2 years. Let's say 3 years. So he's been something. I don't know how did he get there. He never really explained how did he get to that point, but you can go watch the interview on YouTube. But he got to a point where he realized he had a problem, because that is a problem. Anybody that's out there, like Dr. Brian said, creating broken homes. Anybody that's out there doing that deliberately, typically there is a problem there. So a problem within their self there. So him and Dr. Brian was talking about it, and she asked him a specific question. She said, "Were you clinically diagnosed with NPD?" And he said, "Yes, I was clinically diagnosed with NPD." Because she wanted to verify if this was a clinical diagnostics or this was something that he was just inputting. Okay, so that dialogue was great, and I love the fact that he is admitting to it. He went on about a few other things. He talked about his wife. He's only been married one time to Mariah Carey, and about their separation. And Mariah Carey got the heck up out of that. She got them 2 babies, and she said, "I'm not dealing with this crap," and she got on. Don't blame her. Now I want to talk about duality, right? So duality can be multiple things. People that are transgendered are duality, because on the surface is a woman, underneath it got a man genitalia. There's duality. Or somebody that's a teacher in the morning time, but an OnlyFans at night. There's duality. Same thing with Nick Cannon. He lives in duality, right? On the surface, he's an entrepreneur. He's on the Masked Singer. He's the host for the Masked Singer. He's a phenomenal entrepreneur. He has one of the longest running TV shows in history. On the surface, he's all these things, right? but inside there's something deep and dark rooted within himself. Even in the interview with Dr. Bryant, he was still displaying narcissistic tactics. He was trying to give himself off as the good narcissist. But how can you be a good narcissist, right? He was he was literally trying to connect with the audience in a way to receive. He even said, I'm a narcissist, but I have empathy. It's you know how many women's panties probably got moist hearing him say that when that was all manipulation. So he deals with duality. Another point, another thing about um people with this characteristic, right? People with NPD, just from my personal experience and some of the things I read, articles and things, people with this trait typically eventually fall. I'm sorry, typically eventually fail in life, right? No matter the background, no matter the wealth, no matter what's obtained in life, right? Without the proper help, the proper guidance, they typically fail in life. And what I mean by fail, I don't mean they go broke. I don't mean they, lose everything. No. What I mean is that typically they fail in life because they always end up unhappy. They always end up alone. They always end up, it's like everything they've obtained is great. Like just for example, they're sitting in this beautiful home. They have all these things, they cars and wealth and all of these platinum plaques or degrees or $1 million, but they still end up unhappy because the work has to be done. Kate Spade. Kate Spade is a prime example of somebody that lived in duality as well as narcissism. Look up Kate Spade, because I talked about this topic on the last episode, so I'm not gonna go into it, but look up Kate Spade. She's another perfect example of somebody that lived in duality. So another thing I wanted to mention is the look at me syndrome, right? Now, before I knew what the look at me syndrome was, I would always say that. If I see somebody doing too much, I'm like, look at her, she a look at me type of chick. Or look at him, look at me, look at me. I never like look at me kind of people. Because it's like, sit your tail down. Like in my like that's what I think. But the look at me syndrome, right? Which is a historic personality disorder, histrionic personality disorder. Attention seeking behavior, right, I'm gonna give you the definition of a look at me personality. It's a mental health condition that's marked by unstable emotion, a distorted self-image, and an overwhelming desire to be noticed. People with HPD often behave dramatically or inappropriate to get attention. So people with this disorder, we know people like this. Look at your cousin or your coworker or your homeboy that y'all at the kickback having a good time. All of a sudden, he on the table. He shaking from the chandelier. He doing backflip. He'll look at me as the person. Your homegirl. Everybody going to the party dressed nice. She come out with her booty cheeks hanging out. She gets to the party. She bent over in the middle of the circle. When everybody see her, she going harder. She going harder, harder, harder. She look at me. Look at me. Look at me. So I've never liked them kind of people just because I know what the look at me attention seeking is rooted in. And here's some of the things that research shows it's rooted in. It's rooted in attention seeking behavior may stem from jealousy, low self-esteem, loneliness, or the result of a personality disorder. Attention seeking behavior can stem from unmet physical emotional needs. I just talked about this last episode, such as hunger, lack of affection, unresolved trauma. It all starts from somewhere. So getting the help. So like I said, Nick Cannon is doing the work to get the help. Now Nick Cannon is what 40 some years old. It's great that he's starting now before he gets too old. Now you're never too old to change, but typically when you get to a certain age, people tend to kind of be stuck in their ways. So getting the help. So here are some treatments for NPD. So here's some treatments that you can do. First of all, you need to be diagnosed by a professional. The first treatment is therapy. Go to therapy, see a therapist, talk to someone, get that resolved, right? They also have medications. I'm not gonna say what medications it is because I'm not promoting drugs. I'm not promoting, clinical drugs, but there is medication treatment for NPD. And another way you can help yourself is accept and maintain real personal and work together relationships. That's another way. And like I said, now there is no medication that specifically treats the disorder, but there are antidepressant, anxiety, and other medications of that nature. Also, people with ADD and ADHD, that medication also is a preventative for this disorder as well. Like things like Adderall, things like that. Honestly, I wasn't gonna say no medication, but I said it. Okay. Trying to fix, so Nick Cannon trying to fix all he has done, right? What he has done, right? He's created multiple broken, dysfunctional homes. Like typically you have 12 children, it's impossible to see all of those kids. Like, unless even if you did 5 a week, you still wouldn't hit all. You still wouldn't be all of them. So, he's trying to fix what he has done. His older two kids that are Mariah Carey are teenagers, so they're a little bit different. But just think about it's a lot that goes into this. So he's working on fixing, and I'm happy that he sees the error of his ways, and he's working to correct these things, creating broken homes, home that was first of all creating broken home thing. I would say for him, the home was never broken because it was never a home. You have a bunch of kids that are the same age. That's not a home. You went and planted your seed at 5 locations at the same time. That's not a home. But I will say that I appreciate, like I said, I appreciate him recognizing the error of his ways and realizing that some things money can't buy. Like your money cannot give your kids a better emotional life. Your money cannot make up for the lack of time that you spend with them 12 children. 12, how many? I mean, 12, 13. Your lack of time cannot make up for them time with them kids. Your money cannot fix certain things. So I'm happy that he's getting the work he needs. So that way, those younger babies that are 2 and 1 years old, when they grow up, they'll have a better father than Morocco and Monroe Mariah Carey kids had, because they teenagers. They didn't seem the worst with Nicholas Cannon. But these younger kids, they get to experience a better father. So kudos to him. And that's my topic.
So first, you kind of went in on Nick Cannon like you did Nick Cam Newton. You went in on him. Was he clinically diagnosed, or is he just saying this?
He
That's my
said
question.
he was clinically diagnosed. He said his doctor diagnosed him.
So he was diagnosed by a psychiatric or someone who operates in the DSM. The DSM.
Yes, he's been going to a doctor. I think he on medication too. But
He was
yeah, he
going to
was
a
clinic.
psychiatrist.
He told Dr. Bryant that she specifically asked. She said, well, "Are you clinically diagnosed?" And he said yes. He's clinically diagnosed. He had tests ran on him. He was in a mental health facility or some other stuff. Like
Okay, so he was
he's had
diagnosed.
an evaluation.
Okay, so he was assessed and he was diagnosed by a psychiatrist. That kind of changes the conversation. So with that being said, then he can sit down and have counseling sessions with, whoever his therapist may be. They can come up with some ramifications and proactive measures to best support him in his diagnosis. Now, with that being said, that's a very rare diagnosis, but I think in America America has the highest percentage of I think it's like 0.5 or 1% of the world who gets NPD. And I think that when it comes to America, it's like 6.5. 6.5% of the US citizens that have been diagnosed with NPD, and that's the highest in the world. The rest of the world is much lower. So America picks up majority of that percentile or percentage of the diagnosis, which makes me wonder a little bit. But I'm not gonna get into any conspiracies today. I just think that him saying that is great. He said he needed some help. He went to get some psychological help. Um, I know he has lupus as well, if I'm not mistaken. He has lupus, so he has a chronic illness. Um, And I think some of that kind of plays into his demeanor as far as wanting to have so many children. Because I think he feels like he's living on borrowed time. That's just my opinion. I don't have anything to prove that. I'm just saying my opinion. But you went in on the man again. Well, I ain't gonna say it again. You in on him like you went in on Cam Newton. I think Mariah Carey has her own issues. Let's not bring Mariah Carey into the mix. I think he was with Mariah Carey. I think they had a relationship. They were married. I don't know if they were happy, if they weren't happy, but I think she's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs by herself. She don't need him to add nothing to it. So I don't. That's my opinion, because she seemed crazy even now. And if I'm not mistaken, ain't she married to a billionaire? And I'm pretty sure that fool calls her crazy. So, uh,
It ain't about her.
well, I wasn't trying to make it about her. I'm just saying that you were saying like he was with Mariah Carey and they wasn't even home, nothing like that. It's been many a times that he's been on interviews and he has said it that she kind of stripped him of his masculinity many a times. Like I make the money. This is my house. I make this. I can have anybody I want. I can do this. I can do that. I mean, that's gonna be
Man,
hard for
she
any
ain't got nothing.
man. Man, but I'm just saying, it's gonna be hard for any man to be with any woman that says that. I don't care what status you have. I don't care if it's the president of the United States. I don't care if you're a multi-billionaire as a man. If you with a woman who's speaking to you in that manner in a lot of instances, then you're going to struggle being happy with her or just struggle being in that relationship, period, because you're being torn down consistently. I ain't trying to make this about her, but you just said they ain't had no home. So I just want to put it out there. He said that many times. Uh, but I think Nick Cannon is a very successful guy. I think when it comes to this diagnosis, most who have it are very successful. In order to be successful, you have to have a level of it's all about me concept because you want to reach success no matter what. And that's kind of what we all want to be successful. We all want to be happy. We all want to have sustainable lives. We all want to have a good amount of money in our bank account to live, take trips, take care of our kids, enjoy life, just not stress so much. So I think a level of selfishness is in all of us because we all want to sustain that dream that we all have. But I think some just go a little far overboard to reach it. I don't really know Nick Cannon's story. I haven't researched him enough to know his origin, where he comes from, his upbringing, yeah, to really talk about him in detail.
I'm just gonna speak on MPD because I don't know nothing about no Nick Cannon. I don't know nothing about his story, none of that stuff. So I'm just gonna speak on some things that I see and I research from the MPD on Google and everything. MPD, I feel like is everybody that I know in America for the most part. Everybody I know is looking for success, power, beauty, the ideal love. Um, some people get upset by criticism at work when you can talk to them. They can't handle constructive criticism, bullying, intimidating, and belittling others. We've seen that all through high school. Like there's so many people that you can say have qualities of MPD in them without knowing it. Because I mean, I'm not gonna lie, some of these qualities right here, I feel like I have with myself. Like shoot, I want to be successful and powerful. That's my number one goal is to be successful in my eyes of what I feel successfulness is. So I think it comes down to understanding more and more of our community and our generation of learning what these disorders are and how to work with those disorders and how to use them to our advantages and how to understand them so we can be better ourselves and not let them cripple us in our everyday lives or in our everyday scenarios that we go through. That's all I really got to say on that one. Just take the time to understand what you're going through and understand the things that happen to us every day, the bipolar, the OCD, all that. Just take the time to get the counseling, to get these things diagnosed so you can learn why you feel these ways and why you do things the way you do things so you can better yourself and have a more understanding of yourself.
This is my question. So, Shy, do you feel validated that he was diagnosed with NPD?
I mean, there's no validation for me to feel. I mean, I I know men like him. I've seen men like him before, and like I said, he has every characteristic of that type of person. With or without the diagnostics, like he has the characteristics of the other type of person. Like I've seen plenty of people like him, like Cam Newton, like Corey Holcomb. Who else? It's plenty of men like that. Like
Who is Corey Holcomb?
Corey Holcomb is a comedian. He be on Cam Newton show all the
Oh, you
time.
talking about the big guy?
Yeah, he an ignorant fool as well.
He's
So
funny, man. I like him.
he's an ignorant fool. So yeah, so typically being like that, and again, men typically, I mean, no normal man goes out and has 12 children with 10 different women. It just doesn't happen. It's not normal. It's not normal. It's weird, and it's always a reason behind it. It's always something. Like some guys out here, they some people are lacking. It's the same thing for women. It's the same thing. Like I mean, I know people personally that got 15 kids. Why do you think they doing that? They not doing that because it's fun. I mean, yeah, it was fun in the moment, I'm sure, but it's more to it than that. So I mean, I've been knew he had a problem. Like I would not be surprised if he has bipolar disorder, if he has other disorders, because if he's a
So,
sociopath,
so,
like I
so,
wouldn't be surprised.
so you're saying. So I just want to make sure I'm getting this right. I want to make sure I'm misunderstanding. You're saying if men have multiple kids, let's say three or more, they have some type of disorder.
I ain't gonna say disorder, but if you got, let's say, 5 kids with 5 different women and they are under 5, yeah, there's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with you. If you got 4 kids that's all 2 years old, there's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with you. Another thing, like I said before, typically when men are like when men are never satisfied, it's something else. When you didn't dated 100 women, you got 7 kids, 8 kids, and you're still not satisfied. You have still not hit your Achilles heel. There is something else there. It's either you're mentally ill, you down low. It's either that. It's one of the two. There's no in between. So, like I said, he has every characteristics of somebody that has some type. I would say sociopath as well. He has all those characteristics, but things that he does, you know. And I mean, they don't make him a bad person. Like he didn't ask to inherit these traits, so that doesn't make him a bad person. But I mean, I feel like it was obvious because in the way he behaved, and that's just anybody. Like I said, I know a guy I went to high school with. He is 34 and he has 15 children. He has 15 children in a small town, a town that's only about 100,000 people, and he got 15 kids. Meaning, some of his kids go to the same school, and they got different mamas. He got at least 6 baby mamas. That's not normal. Something's wrong with him. Something is wrong with him. Something is inadequate in his brain for you to have 15 kids, and the oldest one is, and you got 2 kids. You got at least 5 of his kids are the same age. Literally.
Yeah, that's not typical. I would agree. That's not typical, but
I mean, I'm not saying typical, but I'm saying those are typical characteristics of somebody with these, i.e., disorders,
Wait a minute.
narcissistic behavior,
I disagree with that.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
sociopath.
I disagree.
Let me ask you this question.
Look at Donald Trump. Look at Elon Musk. They're sociopaths.
Hold on, Zach. Ask your question.
When does it become that it's not always on the men, but sometimes the women to know that this man got all these kids, but you still keep laying up trying to change them?
That's true too. I wanted to touch base on that, but I just kind of disagree with if they have all these kids that they got some type of disorder. I don't know if a person have a disorder. Why can't it just be trauma? A lot of individuals have trauma that they still haven't healed from. So if you have trauma, you're just trying to be accepted. You're going around looking for someone to accept you and see you. Kind of like we said earlier in that segment. We were talking about the communication component. And I was saying, men want to be seen. They want to be seen by their significant other. He could be doing the same thing. He just wants to be seen. He just wants to be seen in some type of way. I mean, I don't agree with the whole he's being, or I'm not gonna say he, but this men, just men, period, because they got a lot of kids that they got some type of disorder. I mean, it's probably more men in the world that got 9, 8 kids by maybe 8 baby mamas, 5 baby mamas. Who knows how many baby mamas? I mean, like Country Wayne. No, how many? I don't know how many baby mamas he got. No, he got like 10 kids.
He clearly crazy. Look at Elon Musk. Elon Musk is clearly insane. Something's wrong with him. He got about 12 kids too.
And he's very successful.
Yeah, but he's so what? At the end of the day, you're successful, but at the end of the day, you're grabbing everything around you to make you happy at some point. But when you go to bed at night, you're still unhappy. It doesn't matter what he has.
How do we know he's unhappy though? That's a speculation.
Because it's obvious. The things that all these characteristics, Elon Musk need to go talk to Dr. Brian next. All these characteristics.
Man, hey, you gotta quit throwing this woman out here like she out here just doing something
with
great.
this disorder are not narcissists are not happy at the end of the day. Like they're not happy. Hence to why they commit suicide. Hence to why it's so much attached to it. Like, yes, you're wealthy. Money do not buy happiness. Money does not cure self-esteem.
Where you getting these data points?
Hold on. Let me get this question out real quick, Pete. Let me get the question out. So what about our grandparents when they had 10, 12, 13 kids?
They had it with the same women though.
No, they didn't.
No, they didn't. My papa ain't got 9 kids, 9 baby mamas.
He got 9 baby mamas and 9 kids.
Yeah, he 80. He 80.
He got a problem.
Well, our grandparents are having kids. Like my grandma had 13 kids. My dad's side, my mom's side, she had 8 kids. What are you saying? Like,
no, there is a difference. It's a difference from, say for instance, my grandpa, he was married twice. He had 10 kids with the first wife. He had like 8 kids with the second wife. That is a difference. We're talking about men who are picking up women at the grocery store and going to make babies with them. We're talking about men that are finding random women and putting babies in them. And there's a difference. Nobody should be 34 with 15 kids. And you ain't never been married to none of the women. You ain't never stayed with none of the women for too long. And if you got 2 5-year-olds, you got 2 10-year-olds, you got 3 6-year-olds, something is wrong with you. You are not mentally okay to be walking around with 3 6-year-olds, 3 sons that's all 6 years old with 3 different women. Something is wrong with you. Something's wrong.
I just feel like that's kind of, I don't know how to put the words together for it, but I don't know if that's all the way correct. I mean,
I just disagree,
my
man.
opinion, though.
That's her opinion.
That's my opinion.
That's her opinion.
That's why I don't honestly typically date. And this for these reasons, especially if a man approached me, you 31 years old and you got 5 kids, I'm not dating you. I don't care if you're a millionaire. I'm not doing it. Like how you mentioned Ari and Moneybag Yo. Ari could have anybody she wants. She with Moneybag Yo, he have 8 kids with a hell of different women. She with him because she want to be with him, but I mean she could have anybody else.
I'm still stuck on this thing that they got problems. Like we can't.
Yes, they have a mental issue. Nick Cannon just admitted it. More men need to admit
you can't
they
take.
have a mental issue.
Well, no. You can't take one person and then generalize it for all. You can't do that. You can't just say just because Nick Cannon said, "Oh, I got a problem." Nah, they all got problems. It don't work like that.
Well, I think
everybody's different.
So what about women that got 5, 6 kids? What do they got problems?
Yes. If you, I know.
I don't want to make sure we all on the same page. Everybody got problems.
Yes. If you are a woman and you got 7 kids and they all under 10 and they all got different paws, you is something wrong with you. There's something wrong. You're either you're lonely, like the definition said, jealousy, loneliness, lack of self-love, all those things. There is a problem. There's a problem there. You don't just, you can want to have a big family all day and night, but there is a problem. If you are a woman and you have a new boyfriend every year and you got to give each boyfriend a baby and y'all don't y'all don't make it to Christmas, there's something wrong there. There is an issue there.
So I'm just going to say this. A lot of these things are come from kind of upbringing and generational family. I ain't going to say curses, but just generational things within their family. So we can't, you can't sit. I just died saying someone needs to have some type of mental health diagnosis because they have 5 baby mamas. It's I just can't like I can't grasp it. I'm having a hard time digesting it because when it comes to mental health issues, that's serious. That's real serious. And this because you like to because you're an individual, you have relationships, you just so happen to be fertile, you make kids, and now you deserve a mental health diagnosis because you were fertile and you made kids. There's I mean, I think when people think like this, it's such a general thing. Like, okay, let's generalize everybody. Let's just make this general because this is a problem. We don't like it. Now we want to put everybody in a box. That ain't true. I
That's not
mean,
what I'm saying.
no, I'm not saying that's what you're saying. Don't misconstrue. I'm just saying I think that's what's taking place. I mean, because you ain't the only woman that think like that, shot. I'm pretty sure there's other women who listen to our podcast like, yo, yeah, she right. She sure right. I'm pretty sure it's a woman saying that right now who's listening. But when it comes to a mental health diagnosis, there's so many things that has to be checked to receive that diagnosis. And having multiple baby mamas ain't one of them. It's not a prerequisite to a diagnosis. Now, if you have some trauma, if you have some depression, if you have some low self-esteem, if you have some of those combined, not just one, it has to be a multitude of things, then you can then be then granted, I ain't gonna say granted, but be diagnosed with some type of effective mental health diagnosis, which is lives in the DSM. They have a DSM-5 and also have a DSM manual. So I just feel that that's kind of outrageous to say, like, well, I think all men that got the kids. I don't know, man. I think some of them maybe come from upbringing where where they're from, their family, how their family is. I mean, it could be, DNA, generational curses, whatever it may be, but I just don't think it deserves a mental health diagnosis. And that go for women too. I don't think it deserves a mental health diagnosis.
Well, I would say maybe not a. I wouldn't say maybe they don't need to take medication or something, but I truly do believe if you're an individual and you got 7 kids with 7 different women, that is a problem. Or you got 7 kids with 7 different men, there is something wrong there. That is not normal behavior, and it's something wrong. It's something not right.
We appreciate you guys for listening.
Y'all can follow me on Instagram at Sean Marie __. That's CHYMARIE. You can follow us on Instagram and all social media platforms at Gemstone Podcast. That's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. TikTok is coming. Also on Spotify. Also, any of our listeners out there, tax season is approaching. So if you want to contact me to get a free quote for your taxes, you can find me on Instagram. My email is cm.business346@yahoo.com.
Yeah, appreciate y'all guys for listening tonight. Y'all can follow me at zdurst25 on Instagram. Keep in contact with me. Send me some messages. We can always have the messages for our fans come on the podcast and everything. Love y'all guys. You have a great night.